What's going on, everybody? Hey, welcome to Millennial Stories with SammyV, episode number 12. So glad that you're joining me today. Appreciate you jumping on. Appreciate your support. If you're a first-time viewer to this podcast, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. Don't usually do solo podcasts. Going to do a solo podcast today. Don't usually do them. I usually interview young people in their 20s and 30s that are absolutely crushing it in their lives. So if you want to get those interviews, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Got an awesome dude coming on in about 2 weeks' time. No, I lied. Coming on this weekend. He's an awesome dude. He's a creative. He's done really well for himself. Got a great perspective, and can't wait to share him with you. But I'm doing a solo podcast today because I've had some revelation recently, and I wanted to share. I don't know what I'm going to name this podcast. I have no idea what I'm going to call it. I don't really have a plan for this podcast. I have an idea of what I want to talk about and know what I want to talk about, but I don't. Usually when I do a solo podcast, I kind of write down main points and I maybe expound on those, and I don't have a script, but I have things that I want to cover. In this podcast, honestly, I don't know. I'm just going to talk from the heart. I'm going to share some things that are on my mind that I think that actually will provide a lot of value to you if you take them to heart and you listen closely. I think that you're actually going to find a lot of value in this and be able to take it and apply it in your life. Some things have gone on in my life recently. I'm going to be really open and honest with you in this podcast, and if that makes you uncomfortable, then feel free to not listen or watch. I don't know where you're finding me, whether it's on SoundCloud, iTunes, Stitcher, or YouTube. Yeah, feel free if you're uncomfortable with a little bit of vulnerability and honesty and truth, then you know what? Don't listen. But I'm going to be open and honest with you about some things, because if I'm not open and honest with you and I don't share the truth about things that are going on in my life, then I can't really connect and relate with you, and then I can't really help you. Then there's absolutely no point in actually doing this podcast and actually recording this. You know, I don't do that. I don't get paid to do this. I don't make any money from it. I do this as a hobby. I do this as something that I said, you know what, I want to provide some value somehow. I want to provide some value in my free time. So I'm going to interview young people in their 20s and 30s that are crushing it, so that other people in their 20s and 30s can learn from them and apply the principles that they've learned and apply them in their life. And I do a solo podcast every once in a while because maybe I've got something that I've learned that I think you can apply in your life, or that you might be able to take of value and apply to your business, to your career, or whatever it is, your personal life. So, but I've gone through some struggles recently. Really, the last month and a half, really, it's kind of snowballed to the last couple of weeks, and then to the point where only a few days ago I had an absolute mental breakdown. Never been lower than this in my life. I've gone through a depression before, a time where I was just really depressed, where I was, going to the bar 3, 4, 5 nights a week on my own, drinking on my own. And I was at that point in time in my life, I had a lot of success. I was 23 years old at the time, making pretty good money. I was in medical sales. I didn't have a degree, and so I went through. A lot of you that that have watched my stuff and know that about me, and I was just really lost. And recently I felt really lost. There's the biggest fear that I have in my life is that I'm going to get to the end of my life and realize that it was wrong. That's my biggest fear. When people say, what's your biggest fear? It's not heights, although heights are pretty scary. It's not snakes or sharks or whatever that. It's not, it's not that those things aren't frightening, but what scares me the most is getting to the end of my life and realizing that it was wrong, because I only get one life. I only get one shot at this. Time is something that never stops moving, and I don't want to get to the end of my life and regret my life. And so that's my biggest fear. And so when I went through a depression before, which was a lot longer, like a year's time, I felt like I was living the wrong life. And that's why I was depressed. And recently I started to begin to question whether what I was doing in my life was actually what I was supposed to be doing, and whether it was going to be worth it, whether it was the right thing. And I began to really question it. And the reason I began to question it is because there were some things that happened I'm going to share with you that were really made things in my life really uncertain. So about a year and a half ago, almost a year and a half ago now, which is crazy to think about. It's been that long. I quit my medical sales job, where that year, I was 24 years old. That year I was going to make anywhere between $70,000 to $80,000. And then the next year to two, I probably would have made over six figures based on the growth of my book of business, based on what I was doing. I gave up a really good, promising career to go chase after what I really wanted in life and create the life that I want, and really just prove to myself that, I have the ability to take care of myself, that I have the ability to create something. But then also the biggest reason is purpose, is I felt like I wasn't utilizing my gifts, talents, and abilities to the best of my ability working that job. And I thought, you know what? I'm young. Let's go ahead. Let's take this risk. Let's go out. I decided I wanted to be a speaker and a writer because I felt like those are some of my gifts. And so I left and started a business doing private coaching to help supplement some income. Since then I've written a book that's in the editing and publishing phase right now. I've got a podcast that's doing pretty good, but that's really more, this podcast obviously is more of a hobby. But I've also decided to go back and play my last year of college soccer. Something that I didn't know I was going to do when I left that job, but I think there was this weight on my shoulders that I needed to go back and finish my last year of college soccer, because I spent so much of my life, the majority of my life, chasing a dream of playing college soccer, and I got to that level and I left after 3 years for reasons I'm not going to go into today. But I decided, I'm going to go back and play my last year, because I honestly just don't want to be the dad that quit 3/4 of the way. I want to be the dad that finished. There's never been anything in my life that I haven't finished. There's been things that I failed at, but there's never really been anything that I've really not finished. And that was something that I decided, I want to go back and finish. And so, but here's the thing: is I'm 26 years old. I've got bills I have to pay. I've got, my parents don't pay my bills. I do. And so going back and playing college soccer really means that I can't really work. So what I've had to do this summer and really in the last 2 months is I've had to make 7 months worth of expenses in 2 months. And that's a significant amount of money that, I have had to make, considering that I don't have the ability to go get a job that pays me $5,000 a month, because there's no summer job that's going to pay me $5,000 a month. I could go back and get a corporate job, but that's a long-term job. So what I had to do is I had to do it through my own business, and I had to do it through my private soccer training business, which to that point in time wasn't making me that type of money, wasn't making me that amount of money. And it was really it's really been a business that's supplemented other income that I've had. It's maybe been about 30, 40, 50% of my income, and I had to make it 75, 80% like that. And at the beginning of the summer, so I had to make $10,000. I'll just be really open. I had to make $10,000, and at the beginning of the summer, nobody was signing up. None of my clients were signing up. Everybody was pushing it off. Everybody had a camp. Everybody had vacation. People weren't getting back to me. It was just really frustrating, because I taken this risk and said, I'm going to go back and play college soccer, and I'm going to, I think I can do this through my own business. I think I can make this amount of money, and I can do this. And then it just wasn't happening. I started to kind of stress out, freak out, which if you know me well and you know me long enough, I do not stress. I am not a stressed person. I'm a positive person. I try to look at the best in everything. I actually don't believe in stress. I think stress is brought upon by yourself, by the way that you think about things, which is 100% true, which I'm going to share probably today a little bit about that. But I started to really stress. And and at that time, I'm trying to get healthy, because I sprained my ankle really, really bad back in March. And here it is about 2.5 months later, and my ankle is not really that much better. I can barely run. I can barely jog. I can't really jog. This is only about a month and a half ago, 2 months ago. It was about 2 months ago now. And so I'm thinking in my head, okay, I've got to make all of this money, and I've got to figure this out. I've got to stress about just making this happen, even though when you have your own business, you've got to create it. When you have a job, it's kind of there for you. When you have your own business, you've got to create it. You're the muscle. You're the energy. You're everything. And then on top of that, my product at the time, my product in my business is all 100% energy. And being a private trainer takes so much enthusiasm, so much energy that, and on top of that, I've got to expound so much energy just to get clients so that I can then coach them, make them a better player, put all this energy in, and things just weren't happening. And then at the same time, I'm thinking in my head, I've got preseason coming up in 2 months, 2.5 months. My ankle, I can barely jog. This thing isn't getting better. So is all this stress that I'm going through even worth it? Is it even worth it? Am I doing the wrong thing here? Is this the right thing to do? Am I going through this for no reason? And I start to really begin to question the purpose of what was going on in my life, the purpose of all this. Is this the right decision? Am I on the right path here? And at that time, I had just finished a book that I wanted to get edited and published. I'm building up this podcast to try to provide value. And at the same time, I've got, built over 4,000 followers on Instagram. And I have over 7,000 followers on LinkedIn. And I've got followers on other different platforms that I know for a fact, count on me to be a light in their life, to be enthused and to be an encouragement to them. I've gotten hundreds and hundreds of messages from people on all my different platforms, people saying, man, your content has made a big difference on my life. Your videos, your posts, they've made a big difference on my life. They've impacted me. I've had people send me long messages saying, these things that I've said and I've written about or I've said on video have made a massive impact on my life. So now I feel a responsibility to be a light to people, to be an encouragement to people, to give people perspective. And it's not just one person, it's thousands of people that I know for a fact watch, and it's been crazy. Like people that don't even don't go and like my pictures and posts on different platforms. People that have never liked a single thing have messaged me. I didn't even know that they were looking at it. And so all this stuff, I feel this responsibility here. I've got to build this business to the point to make this certain amount of income. I've got to get healthy. And then at the same time, I've got to get fit enough so I can play college soccer because I don't want to do it half-assed. I want to do it to the fullest of my ability. I've got this book that I want to get published. I've got a part-time job. I've got a podcast that I want to build, and all this is kind of, piled up on me. And I just question, man, am I really, because if I can't play, is this even going to be worth it? Am I doing the right thing here? Am I living the wrong life? And it just continued to, compound. And actually really through the encouragement of people close in my life, they said, dude, just keep going, man. You can do it. And, 2 months later, I've figured it out. I've made the money I needed to make. I'm fit. My ankle is getting better. I'm confident I'm going to be able to play. There's some other things that aren't great that I'm figuring out currently with my book. I haven't been able to do as much of the podcast as I would have liked. So I'm trying to figure out how can I do that? Can I do that right now? Is that something that needs to be a priority, even though I really want it to be a priority? And so there's other things that I'm trying to figure out. I've been hit with some unexpected bills and stuff like that have kind of added to that. And it just kind of snowballed and compounded to the point where I had a mental breakdown. And I literally have never been this low in my life. I've never felt this weak. I've never felt this feeling of just this pit in my stomach every day. Definitely tears a lot. I just felt really alone. I felt like, just depressed. And I had a mental breakdown within the last week. And I didn't know why it was happening. I didn't understand, why am I feeling this way? What is my problem? What is my problem? What is wrong with me? And there's a couple of things I learned in this process, because really the day after I was at the lowest point, I had a mental breakthrough. I got clarity that I really learned a lot from. And I'm going to share a little bit about that clarity. That clarity, really the biggest thing I learned is that in this process, I completely lost who I was. I lost who I was. I didn't know who I was anymore. Even though I had accomplished a ton this summer. To do what I did and to do what I've done, to go through what I've had to go through to get there, to figure out what I've had to figure out, to be as entrepreneurial as I've had to be this summer, I should have been the happiest person in the world. But I wasn't. And it was because I felt like I lost myself. I felt like I didn't know who I was anymore. I felt like mentally and emotionally I was just a completely different person. And I literally had stopped doing things that made me. I'd stopped doing things that made Sam Vale, Sam Vale. And that's what I want to tell you today, is that no matter what happens in your life, no matter what stress you may go under, no matter what unfortunate circumstances you may go under, my ankle, some other personal things that I've had to go through relationally this summer, those things, even though when you go through those things, you can't stop doing what makes you you. This year I decided this is a good example, I was going to read a book a week this year. And for the first 5.5 months, I was on pace. In fact, I was ahead of pace. I'd read, on average, like a book in a quarter, a book and a half a week up to that point. And for about a month and a half, I didn't read a single page out of a single book. I stopped doing something that made me me. I stopped personally growing. I lost my positive attitude. I lost my positive mindset. I let the little things get the best of me. I let little things completely destroy my joy for life. Little things like people canceling, little things like people, rescheduling, bills, unexpected bills. I let those things steal my joy. Things that I had no control over to steal my joy. I let this ankle steal my joy for life. I let those things completely steal my joy to the point where I just question whether it was all worth it. I lost who I was. I lost my identity as a person. My identity is rooted in God's love for me. Outside of that, I have identities. Who am I? What's my purpose? I'm a positive, uplifting person. I'm a light to a lot of people. I'm an encourager. I lift a lot of people. I try to lift a lot of people up. And here I wasn't doing any of it. I wasn't doing the things that made me me to the point where I completely lost myself. The other thing that I learned is that you need to keep, we need to keep ourselves in perspective. I wrote a freaking book this year. I wrote a book. You know how many people can say that? I wrote a book and I did it in 2.5 weeks. All the writing was in 2.5 weeks. I figured out how to make the money I needed to make in such a short period of time. I actually proved to myself this summer that I could be an entrepreneur. I can work for myself. I didn't make a ton of money. There's people that make $10,000 a freaking minute. But for me to make the money that I've made this summer in my own business, in something that I created, I want to make a post soon about my business. My business is a bag of balls and like 40 cones. And I created a business out of that. I've got myself almost more fit than I was in the spring as far as fitness goes with soccer. I've stayed and remained consistent with getting this ankle done. I've been so consistent this summer and I've never worked harder in my life. But I completely lost perspective. And holy crap, dude. What you've done this summer is completely proved to yourself that I can do anything. And so the other thing is, don't let the little things steal your joy. Don't let the things outside of your control steal your joy. The other thing is keep perspective. You're probably doing a lot better than what you think that you're doing. And I just posted something the other day that says you're better than what you think you are. You are able to accomplish more than what you think you are. You're able to do more than what you think you're able to do. You're able to, handle more than what you think you're able to handle. This summer, I didn't think I was going to be able to handle what I've handled. And I did it. I handled it. I realized that I'm capable of more than what I thought I was at the beginning of this summer. And I feel so freaking strong. Like, I feel like my spirit is so freaking strong because I've done the right thing this summer. And so what I want to encourage you today is there's going to be times of transformation in your life. There's going to be moments of transformation. I've had these moments in my life. I remember when I was really battling with the depression. This was in late December of 2016. Late December of 2016, I watched a Grant Cardone video. And from that moment on, I began to change my life. I began to transform in the man that you see today. And this past weekend, I had a moment of transformation. A moment of clarity that provided me the ability to break through some mental barriers. And I'm in another transformation period where I've taken these experiences that I've had and I'm able to take them and use them for profit in my life and prosperity. You're going to have moments of transformation in your life. The key, though, is you cannot quit. It is not weak to have problems. It is not weak to struggle with things. It is not weak to experience failure. It is not weak to make mistakes. What's weak is quitting. That's weakness. What's weak is quitting on yourself. As long as you don't quit and you keep pushing and you keep moving and you keep going forward, no matter what, and you keep pushing and you figure out, this is what I want, I'm going to freaking go till I get it. That's strength. And I promise you, if you push through that, you will begin to understand the strength that's on the inside of you that you did not know existed before. There is a person on the inside of you that you cannot discover until you experience true adversity, until you experience things that are going, if you push through and you persevere, you'll begin to discover this person on the inside that you didn't know existed. And the great thing about it is your potential is unlimited as a human being. Your potential is completely unlimited. That's freaking exciting. That is freaking exciting when your potential is unlimited, because that means you can constantly be learning, constantly be getting better, constantly improving, constantly accomplishing, constantly seeing your goals and dreams come true. I have goals right behind you on this wall that I cannot wait to freaking take down. I cannot wait to take down, because there's people that doubt me. There's people in my life that have quit on me, that have given up on me, all this stuff. And you know, I never felt so alone recently. And it was really because I lost perspective. And because of that, but I also feel more empowered now. Because like, dude, I did this. I did what I said I was going to do. And I don't know what the future holds exactly. You know, I don't know. It is uncertain. But I know that I became a better person through this process. And now I'm going through a time of transformation where I'm building character, integrity, and strength. And you can't experience that without adversity. Look, I'm at about 25 minutes now. I think it's time to wrap up. I think I'm going to title this Moments of Transformation. And I hope you guys enjoyed this. I hope you found value in it. I hope that you enjoyed it. And thank you for watching. Thank you for listening this long and getting to this point in time. Look, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, go to subscribe. Share this with a friend. Would really appreciate it. If you think somebody might benefit from this specific podcast, send them the link. Just go ahead and DM them the link or text them the link. But thank you again for watching. I really appreciate it. Really appreciate your support. Another podcast will be coming out probably this weekend or early next week with a creative that I'm going to be interviewing that's doing some awesome stuff. Love this dude. I actually was on his podcast as a guest. So, hey, you all take care. God bless. Appreciate it.